The previous chapter gave us a good final look at humankind's relationship to fate and glory, which are two major components of the epic. This one, however, serves more to give us a good look at the difference between men and gods, one last time. Hello and welcome, or welcome back. Today we are reading the great books of Western civilization, beginning with the Iliad. As always, I'm reading from the Robert Fagel's translation. This is book 21. The Trojans flee from Achilles. Some go in the river Xanthus, trying to escape him. Others beg for mercy, and others still try to fight him. None are successful. Finally, the god of the river himself rises and commands Achilles to stop his rampage. He has killed so many men that the river has become dammed with bodies. Achilles agrees to stop and changes course. Then, the god of the river calls out to Apollo, asking him to save all of the Trojans' lives. And when he hears that, Achilles turns around and jumps into the river, trying to fight him. The river, of course, begins to fight back, throwing all of the corpses, along with their armor and weapons, at Achilles. Achilles, despite all of his power, is unsuccessful in either escaping the river or in winning against it. The river continuously outmaneuvers and overpowers him, and he cries to the gods for help. Poseidon and Athena then give him the strength to escape, while Hera asks Hephaestus to come down and beat the river back. As Achilles flees, the river pursues him over the plain. Hephaestus, the god of fire, arrives and unleashes a torrent of scorching fire, boiling its waters, forcing it to flee, begging for mercy as it burns. But Hephaestus does not stop until Hera, his mother, orders him to, at which point Achilles is safe from danger. This kicks off an all-out brawl amongst all the gods, and Zeus watches, laughing. Meanwhile, King Priam opens the gates to the city to let the retreating armies in. Apollo appears to distract Achilles and lead him away from the city to prevent him burning it down. Like I said, this is a good final look at the difference between gods and men. The first difference is their power. Scamander, god of the river, overpowers Achilles easily, even though he's considered by all accounts to be a very minor god. Achilles is only saved with the intervention of other gods. Next, and almost more important, is how they look at and how they treat death. For humans, of course, death is an inevitable part of life, even for Achilles. Lycaon, a son of Priam who Achilles had actually captured before, begs him for his life at the banks of the river. Achilles responds, "Don't talk to me of ransom. No more speeches. Now not a single Trojan flees his death. Come, friend, you too must die. Why moan about it so? Even Patroclus died, a far, far better man than you. And look, see how powerful I am? But even for me, I tell you, death and the strong force of fate are waiting. There will come a dawn or sunset or high noon when a man will take my life in battle too." At that, Lycaon's knees gave way on the spot, his heart too. He let go of the spear. He sank back down, spreading both arms wide. Knox comments that Achilles' use of the word friend here is an admission of equality, of shared humanity in a way. Every human person knows, deep in their heart, the power of the grave that hugs the strongest man alive. No one likes it, but we all accept it, one way or another. The gods, on the other hand, are repulsed by death. They can't bear to look at it. The Xanthus river god, called Scamander, rises up against Achilles because it's full of corpses. "I'm choked with corpses. Leave me alone, have done. I am filled with horror." That same word, horror, gets used in the previous book, also in reference to death, and it perfectly describes the attitude of the gods toward death. The whole world quaked, and terror-struck in the underworld, Hades, lord of the dead, cringed and sprang from his throne and screamed shrill, fearing the god who rocks the ground above his realm, giant Poseidon, would burst the earth wide open now, and lay bare to mortal men and immortal gods at last the houses of the dead, the dank, moldering horrors that fill the deathless gods themselves with loathing. This loathing is something that we have to think about to really understand, if we're even going to. Because for us, when we encounter the supernatural in the form of a ghost or a dead person, we're filled with a special kind of fear that's called dread. Dread is what you feel upon being told that there is a ghost in the room. You know that it can't do anything to you, but you're still afraid. It's so unlike you, and yet like you as well. It's a person, but it's not quite right. There's something wrong about it. For an immortal Greek god, however, a dead person is about as close as a total opposite as you can get, especially as it's conceived of in Greek mythology, with the dead being shades, not even really existing. That is what fills them with loathing. This loathing is nowhere better expressed than in Hera's repeated comments about suffering for the sake of mortals. Hephaestus, stop! Stop, my glorious blazing boy. It's not right to batter another deathless god, not for the sake of these mortals. This remark does not age well. In fact, it is less than 3 pages later that she bashes Artemis upside the head with her own bow. The gods can fight all they want, and suffer for whatever cause strikes their fancy. As Knox says, they cannot lose their lives. No matter what they do, they will survive. And given this crucial difference between gods and men, only men can have true dignity on the battlefield. The gods risk little and gain little, and as I've said before, they really have nothing worthwhile to fight over except for the affairs of mortals, because it's in the mortal realm that true change is possible. And yet, even as they do so, because they're risking nothing and aren't changing at the end of the day, their brawl is laughable. Zeus laughs at the spectacle, and we should too. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. Always really appreciate it. And if you learned something new today or found something especially interesting, please leave a comment and let me know what it was. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.